Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger. When tangy Southern-style sauce and slaw meet a bacon cheese Whataburger, you get the Southern Bacon Double Burger. 2 patties, bacon, cheese, pickles, onions, and slaw on a 5-inch bun. Back for a limited time at participating locations.
It's hard to believe, but it's already week 9 of Texas high school football as we welcome you in to Whataburger Friday Night Stars here from the Globe Life Studios at the Star in Frisco. Texas high school football more than 2 months in at this point, and there's plenty of playoff positioning to be settled in week 9. Alongside Hek'ma Harrison filling in for Bill Jones today, I'm Kyle Youmans. Glad you're with us as we head into another great week of high school football, and man, the intensity only begins to ramp up from here.
No, absolutely. And this time of year, Kyle, everyone is in district play, and that seeding is very important. And look, there are a lot of battles going on right now in week 9.
Yeah, we've got plenty of them to get to, starting with our Whataburger game of the week. And we go all the way down to District 6A Region 1. It's the Coppell Cowboys, probably one of the surprises of the 6A area. 6-0 to start the season. They'll take on the Hebron Hawks at 3-3. Let's hear from Coppell head coach Antonio Wiley about the season so far and the undefeated start going into week 9.
You're always pleased to start out, without a loss on your record. So, our ability to just go out and compete, things hadn't been as pretty as you would like. It's never as clean as you want early in the year, but you tell people all the time you don't want to play your best football in August. So if we can just keep improving, which I think our team has, I think we have a chance to have a pretty good season. Even when we hadn't played our best football, we found a way to win, and they've been gritty and have been resilient in some tough times. We found ourselves in games where we thought we should have came out in a more lopsided fashion, but for whatever reason we hadn't executed to the proper level. But to our kids' credit, they just keep going forward, and I think our offense is probably one of the best in the area, and they play that way week in and week out. They got so many weapons that they can just go.
Of course, there's only one notch off of that Coppell schedule. It was a forfeit in the middle of week 3, so kind of an oddity there. Didn't finish the game, but whenever they've finished a game, they've certainly finished it. 6-0. Cowboys been a great surprise so far.
No, they really have, and I think with quarterback Edward Griffin is outstanding and has a big target in Byron Tipton. 6'5", 200 pounds. That's how much of a target he is. And we talk about Coppell being a surprise. It is no surprise when you have a guy that's balling to the degree that Tipton is.
And he's not just getting it to one player. He's spreading it quite a bit around. Here's a look at some of the offensive leaders for Coppell, and you talked about it. It starts with Edward Griffin up there at the top. 1,400 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns on the ground, and then he spreads it around. You talked about Tipton. He has the 7 TDs himself. Replacing a guy who was a co-MVP in Jack Fishpaul previously. Griffin's filled that role, and he's got plenty of weapons to find the football, too.
No, and I think the other thing about this team is their defense. They do so many great things. As the coach was just talking about, this season isn't really much of a surprise when you look at how they've dominated these games that they've been in. And look, Coppell is one of those teams going into the playoffs that a lot of teams don't want to see in the first round.
Not at all. They've got Hebron this week, followed by Flower Mound and then Plano. So they may be undefeated by the time the regular season comes to a close. And 6A doesn't necessarily want to see Coppell early on working through that 6A district. Now let's go to Red Oak, because Red Oak, we haven't talked about it much on this show just yet, but in District 4, 5A Division 1, they've been fantastic. The Hawks also undefeated, number 7 ranked team in the 5A ranks, and they'll go up against the Super Syntex foe in the Killeen Kangaroos today.
Yeah, and another one of those great quarterbacks in Texas, Reggie Moody is their guy. Braden Robinson also one of their weapons, in Taz Williams. I mean, talk about the weapons that they have on the outside. Really does make the Red Oaks offense run so smoothly. You look at the games that they've had so far and the numbers that they're putting up. It is because of that guy right there, Reggie Moody, who is outstanding.
Yeah, Moody has really been fantastic for this Red Oak bunch. And they play this game tomorrow night, 7 p.m. out there in Red Oak. And I think this is a team that was under the radar, but they shouldn't be under the radar because of how many offensive numbers they put up.
No, it's outstanding, and it really is when you talk about how explosive the Hawks are. But Zach Smith on defense, I got to give some love to the defense. Linebacker is Zach Smith. He's an awesome guy. Again, the Hawks are another one of those teams that are building momentum at the right time. And again, they have one of the best quarterbacks in the state.
Yeah, he's been throwing it around. Moody been running the ball as well. It's been a dual attack in that defense. If you know Hek'ma Harrison's throwing defensive statistics in it, that means he's in a good mood here, and that means Texas high school football must be in full swing. Speaking of high school football, full swing, Longview always seems to ramp up this time of year, and the Longview Lobos have won 6 straight. They continue to put up fantastic numbers. I really like the way that the Lobos have built. Their one loss, though, came against McKinney High. Can McKinney North pull off the big upset?
Oh, of course they would like to. And Colin Hitchcock, their quarterback, he's 6'5", 220 pounds, a big guy with a big arm, but he also has a tight end in Nate Markowitz. That's also pretty fantastic. But on the other side, for the Lobos, Kyle, Tyler Tatum.
Oh, yeah.
He is a stud. And talk about a bell cow running back on that side. Just an absolute treat to watch. But the Lobos, obviously, they want to clean the slate with the loss that they had earlier to the other McKinney against McKinney North.
Yeah, these two, the only two undefeateds in District 7 5A Division 1. And that Longview team went all the way to the semifinals last year in the state playoffs, looking to make another run again here in 2023. Another team that's gearing up and continuing to put together great games so far this season, Longview Heritage. The Panthers have always been strong, but they look stronger and stronger as the year goes along. They'll take on a Fort Worth Northside team tonight where the Steers have been playing good football. But what about the Panthers and what they've done on the campaign so far?
The Panthers have been knocking for a number of years, Kyle, and I think they feel like they finally have the team that can compete. They have a quarterback in Luke Ulrich, who is also one of the best in his district and also in state. But Braden Blewett, their wide receiver, a kid that can catch everything, one of those quick twitch wide receivers that can take a slant 80 yards. So, again, Panthers are in prime position, especially in that district, and going into the playoffs.
You talk about rising in Class 5A. Since their last loss came back on September 1st against Texarkana Texas High, really good ball club in that right as well. They fell by 3. Since then, 10-7 against Ennis, low-scoring matchup, but then 62-0. 43-7 in the Battle of the Red Rail over Grapevine, 48-7, and then 42-7 against Arlington Heights last year. Remember, that was an Arlington Heights team that in 2022 was undefeated throughout the entire regular season. The Panthers continuing to ramp up toward playoffs. We're just getting ramped up here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. When we come back, we take a look at the Showdowns at the Star. There's plenty of action in Frisco every week in Texas high school football, but even here in Week 9, things can get crazy.
This segment was brought to you by Whataburger. What's better than Whataburger? How about more Whataburger? Download the Whataburger app and start earning points toward free food with Whataburger Rewards.
Let's take a look at our Showdown at the Star. Only one game this week inside Ford Center, and it's a good one. The Frisco Reedy Lions taking on the Frisco Raccoons, 7 p.m. on Friday night. This is a battle in District 6 5A Division 1. Frisco with a win could almost eliminate Reedy from district title contention and keep pace with the Lone Star Rangers.
I'll tell you what, Coach Chad Cole will have none of that, okay? Yeah. And they have one of the biggest offensive linemen also in the state. Max Anderson, 6'5", 300 pounds. He is a mountain of a kid. And I'm telling you, this ground assault that they have is also working. I am really fascinated by the change for Frisco High, changing for the triple option to now more of a spread look. And Jeff Harbert has kind of moved his whole thing around now to get up with the 21st century.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And coming off of a big win last week as well. Let's check in with Coach Harbert. A little bit of a switch, but still it's the same old Frisco.
Anytime you've got young kids, you understand there's going to be some growing pains, and we've had some, but we've been fortunate enough to get some wins while we're learning. So we have a tougher part of a schedule coming up towards the back end. So we'll see if they've grown up enough to compete at high level with some of the top teams in the area.
We have a young team. Like, we have a ton of sophomores on varsity, moving up freshmen every once in a while. We don't have a whole lot of senior leadership, so being able to be a captain on the team is pretty special.
We're still a run-first program. Run the ball well, stop the run, play good defense, and give ourselves a chance to win it late in the fourth quarter.
Hey, the Star is like my favorite stadium. I mean, we walk in there and it's just like a whole new atmosphere that nobody's ever, been in. And I'm grateful to kind of play at it.
Star is amazing, man. Sometimes I can't even hear. Our QB hike the ball. It's pretty crazy, but it's probably my favorite spot. I love the locker rooms. Especially the younger guys. It's their first time, seeing it. So it's a special moment for them.
Definitely a huge game. We've got to take care of business each and every week because we know our schedule only gets tougher and tougher each week. So they do a lot of good things on offense. I know their quarterback's doing some really good things. They've got a really good wide receiver, and their defensive line's phenomenal. So it's going to be a challenge to run the ball, and it's going to be a challenge to stop them on the other side. So definitely going to be a hard-fought ball game, and we'll see what happens.
It took overtime for Frisco to take down Heritage last week, 10-7 at David Kirkendall Stadium. You're right, it's a little bit different, but they talked about it there. Couple senior leaders, Jalen Archibald, really one of those, have stepped up in a big way to get the Frisco Raccoons back into playoff position.
No, I mean, and they're going to get behind their defense. You know that. Jeff Harvard coach, they are going to get behind their defense. But I think this new look offense really is special for them, especially with what you're used to seeing. But for the Reedy Lions, obviously, this is the opportunity. And Coach Cole, like I said, he's been another one of those coaches that's knocking at the door, trying to get to AT&T Stadium.
And, of course, Frisco was left out of a three-way tie last year, did not make playoffs, but they've bounced back in a big way. Can Frisco Emerson bounce back? Because they lost last week to Argyle. They face Lake Dallas, another one-loss team in District 3 5A. With the loss to Argyle, this really puts this emphasis on the game of potentially being a spot at the number 2 slot in District 3 5A on the line.
I will tell you this. I don't know what you're doing this weekend, America, but you better get a ticket to see Michael Hawkins. The quarterback for Frisco Emerson is just special. He is one of those talents that comes through the state of Texas that he is a must-see. Not only does he have an arm, but also legs to go with it. And also on the defensive end, Agape Lawrence, one of my favorite linebackers to call games of. But on the other side for Lake Dallas, they have a ton of talent as well. And Keandre Hendricks, their wide receiver, 6'3", 200 pounds, a big body receiver, also a red zone threat. But that guy right there, he is must-see TV.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and there's going to be plenty of points put up in that one. If you like offense, that's the game to go to in Frisco ISD this week at Toyota Stadium. When we come back, we go from one Division I commit and Michael Hawkins to another one headed to TCU right after this.
This segment is brought to you by Whataburger. If you're a Whataburger shake fan, I have 2 words for you: banana pudding. That's right, the Whataburger Banana Pudding Shake is back on the menu, but only for a limited time.
Both my parents went to TCU, and they were student athletes, and I've grown up around TCU my whole life, and purple's in my blood, and it's extremely special because it's something I've dreamed of, since I was 5 years old when I could start remembering things, and to be able to put the black and purple on Saturday mornings or afternoons. I'm just going to do it for the glory of God, because without him I wouldn't be able to do this, and I just want to make my community and my family proud, because they know how much football means to me and my dreams mean to me. So and then Coach Briles and Coach Dykes at TCU, they recruited me well, and made sure that I knew that they wanted me to be their future quarterback.
Remember the name, Haas Haney, doing a great job at Aledo. He does nothing but win. And Hek'ma, you got a chance to see him last week. He does more than just win.
The J is silent, but his play is not. I'm telling you, this kid is the real deal. One of those players that when you're sitting in the stadium, you're watching him play, you say, oh, that's different. Quite often. I mean, the throws that he's making at this point in his career, obviously senior year, going to TCU next year, but he is college ready at this very second.
Oh, he's so much fun to watch. So are some of these top 5A teams. Let's take a look at some of the top teams in 5A Division I, according to Texas high school football. Let's start with Mansfield Timberview. Right now, the number 3 team in the state. They've been putting up big numbers as well.
They really have. Cameron Bates, their athlete wide receiver who plays quarterback, he plays safety, he plays nose guard. He does it all. Just a really special player for Mansfield Timberview. And right now, I tell you what, Robert DeSanto has that Timberview team playing on clicking on all cylinders.
They've always put up numbers, and they continue to do that this year. Speaking of numbers, how about number 1 in 5A Division II? That's the Melissa Cardinals. My goodness, they've been incredible.
They really have. Nigel Smith, their defensive end, he is a mountain of a kid, but also very aggressive and one of those run stuffers for the Melissa Cardinals that really just can't be overlooked. But their running back, Nathan Adejokun, is one of those kids that once he gets to contact, he continues to churn his legs. He is a get stronger as the game goes kinds of running back.
And not only do they have plenty of speed, they have defense as well. They can stuff the run with the best of them. How about Longview and Heritage, another team in 5A Division II that continues to put up numbers? The Panthers are leaping over the competition.
No, they really are. And Stetson Surratt, their wide receiver, he is dynamic. Also, their DB, Ryan Satterwhite, they have so much talent on that side for Heritage, but also Coach Eric Edwards has the Jags also playing really well.
Yeah, the Jaguars. I said Panthers. Panthers, Jaguars, they're really good. They're really quick, and they score a lot of points as well. And then one of your favorites, a former teammate of yours, Coach Todd, and the South Oak Cliff Bears, ranked number 6, and they're primed to look for that back-to-back-to-back state championship.
Boy, that's going to be a tough order, but I think that Coach Todd has the team and the pedigree to get it done. To win 3 in a row would put South Oak Cliff in the dynasty conversation, and I think they know that. Danny Green, their running back, and also linebacker Brandon Jones, really special for them.
Yeah, South Oak Cliff ranked number 6 overall. Do you feel like that's a little too low?
I do. I really do, because I think if you're the returning champion, you should have a little bit more respect on your name.
They had a couple losses early, but they lost to other state champions. It's not like they lost to anybody along the way. Watch out for the Golden Bears to make some noise as well as we continue here through the Texas high school football season. We continue through Whataburger Friday Night Stars. When we come back, we take a look at the 4A ranks, and we wrap things up and get you ready for Week 9 in the Lone Star State.
Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger. The buttery, flaky Whataburger jalapeno cheddar biscuit that you know and love is back. If you don't know it, well, it's here. For a limited time only at participating locations, served 11 p.m. to 11 a.m.
We've talked about 6A, we've talked about 5A. Time to give some love to 4A Division I and a look at the top 10 according to Texas high school football. Salina, that number 2 team, they look almost unstoppable. Anna, the only team that's beaten them, that's Salina Bobcats bunch, followed by the reigning state champion China Spring Cougars. The fighting Melissa Youmans is, by the way, my mom, proud graduate of China Spring.
Hey, don't we know it, Kyle? And that Salina-Anna game was an epic game. Got an opportunity to be on the call for that one, and it was an overtime game. Took Anna quite some time to pull out that win, but Salina is Titletown, and I'm telling you, the defense is really good.
They call it Salina time for a reason, and they've got a big one this week in our more notable games on the docket. And Salina at number 2 at Dallas Carter. Carter trying to pull off the upset, but I've got my eye on that Denton-Geyer-Allen matchup in District 5 6A.
Oh, yeah, both of those teams. Obviously, Allen coming in with all of the history behind them, but Denton-Geyer, another one of those teams that have been knocking, getting an opportunity to make it to a state final. I think they feel like that defense is reminiscent of some teams that they've had in the past.
Allen coming off of a big win a couple weeks ago, too, starting to find their rhythm a little bit at that 6A level. Got off to a slow start, but they've looked much better as it's gone along. And you've got a good call tomorrow night as well. Which game you got this week?
I have Summit. I have a game at Summit, and you and I have a game at the Toyota Center.
We've got to hop in the car right now. We've got to go to the Toyota Center, so we've got to get out of here. That's going to do it here for Whataburger Friday Night Stars. For Hek'ma Harrison, I'm Kyle Youmans. Glad you're with us. Enjoy Texas high school football. Only a couple weeks left of the regular season. You got to enjoy it while you have it. Of course, plenty more to come on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Bill Jones will be back next week. For our entire high school football crew. I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long from the Star.